Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by Fantasy Focused and the Original Hooters. I am Sam Holt, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Derek Tate. Derek, how the hell are you on this Sunday?
Mr. Wonderful is super damn happy. I've had a busy couple weeks, but I'm juiced up because I don't know about you. I've already had my first couple fantasy drafts, so we are officially in fantasy football season. So I'm juiced up to finish up our ADP Study series here on the Fantasy Debate. How are you, Samantha?
I'm good, and I love that we're going to be talking tight ends today because I did just have my dynasty draft yesterday, my big league that I talk about all the time. We're going into our 8th year. We have more keepers this year than we ever have before, so our draft looks insane and super weird. But a trade I made just before our draft that you'll love, I got myself a little Tyler Higbee on my team this year. What?
Yes.
I love it. We're at salary, dynasty, IDP, half-point PPR, super flex, all the things you could be league. So a million things to talk about, but I got Tyler Higbee on a 2-year contract for $7, which is pretty freaking sweet when you compare him to the fact that I had Travis Kelce at $100 last year.
That is a hell of you're sitting here pulling out discounts.
Discounts shopping.
No, I love it. I mean, we're going to talk about Tyler. We're going to talk about Kelce. We're going to talk about all the tight ends. I guess the most, exciting thing I've had when it comes to football outside of fantasy drafts this week, I'm actually ranked inside the top 1,000 on Madden Online Xbox Live. So if you want it with your boy, it's Dtater4 on Xbox as well. So
hey, look, guys, hit up.
Come get awesome. It. I'm the Bucks every time. I'm surgical with Tom Brady.
I'm sure that no one would expect anything else. If I need to get myself a Madden, because what else am I going to be doing on my quarantine time at home? But I should just get myself an Xbox, guys. I don't have one. I don't have a gaming system. The last gaming system I had was a GameCube, and I could pretty much throw down at Smash Brothers. It's pretty good.
Super Smash Bros. Melee?
Yeah, the Melee one, obviously.
You get worked. You get, by me anyway. You get worked.
I'm sure, yeah. Comparing amount of people, like video games that people play, probably I'm definitely never going to be ranked, like ever. But I can hang. I can try my best. A for effort over here.
It's really, really early though, so I mean, it's not much of an accomplishment to be ranked inside the top 1,000. So whatever. But I'm holding on to it. That's going on my gaming resume, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Absolutely. Before we jump into tight ends, do you want to cover a little bit of the injury news as has happened so far?
Sure. And I also want to throw it out there to everybody that's joining live. Thank you again for joining us. We love to have you. And if you have any draft-specific questions that you want to hit us with right now, now is the time. So go ahead and send them off in the comments. Let us know if you have any fantasy questions in particular. We already got Victor Jace and Will Jenkins coming in to say, what up, what up? We love you guys. Thanks for joining again. But so some interesting injuries that are kind of noteworthy that you want to keep an eye on if you're doing a draft right now, a slow draft, or you have one coming up this week. Jalen Reagor, unfortunately, the talented rookie out of TCU, the first-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, the speedster, who I really was super high on, given that I don't think G-Jax is going to be able to stay healthy, but in a stroke of bad luck, it is actually Jalen Reagor that is very questionable to start the upcoming 2020 season opener. So he suffered an injured shoulder where I believe he's avoided offseason. He's going to avoid surgery, but it looks like it's going to take him possibly 2 to 4 weeks to get back onto the football field, which definitely makes him very questionable for the opening Sunday kickoff, which is officially 2 weeks away. So Reagor is someone worth keeping an eye on. I mean, in particular, that has to mean that this is going to boost the short-term value even more so for your boy Deshaun Jackson, correct?
The short-term, sure, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the very tail end of my draft yesterday, and I'm going to blame it on a lot of White Claws, I ended up with Deshaun Jackson on my team for $1. So for that value is pretty good. Don't mind Deshaun Jackson for $1. However, he's really just filler for me in a lot of dynasty formats, or most league formats, actually. So I could see slight uptick, but I'm not running to get Jackson if I didn't already have him just as an end flyer.
Isn't he kind of an aging version of Will Fuller?
I mean,
he's been healthier career-wise than Will Fuller ever has been for even a short stretch of his time in the NFL. But I mean, Deshaun Jackson in particular, I love for maybe like best ball. If
Mhm.
you're in a best ball league, I love Deshaun Jackson because the weeks that he is healthy, definitely has the chance to boom with Carson Wentz, which, by the way, it looks like Carson Wentz also is potentially dealing with some sort of soft tissue injury that's worth monitoring. Speaking of guys that can't stay healthy, Wentz is one that, definitely comes to mind. But when it comes to also other receivers to keep an eye on, Cooper Kupp suffered a low ankle sprain. Does not seem to be anything serious or threatening to his week 1 status from what we understand. But I don't be surprised if he doesn't practice at all this week. But it's kind of a little bit concerning.
A little bit concerning. I love Cooper Kupp. He's someone that I'm really high on this year. I feel like, barring this, I don't think that this doesn't sound like it's a huge setback, but it does make owners who already have Kupp a little bit nervous. And maybe he drops a spot or 2 in drafts going forward, but he's young. I think he's going to bounce back from this. Maybe that means he's got a slower start this season, week 1, week 2, but he's absolutely got all the volume and all the ceiling that you want. So he's not someone that I'm avoiding because of this injury.
Okay, fair enough. So we're talking about receivers, and we'll actually transition into running backs as well because Joe Mixon and AJ Green both missed practice today, if I'm not mistaken, or Saturday, whichever it may be. But AJ Green has been dealing with a nagging hamstring injury. We know his durability issues over the last 2 seasons. How much are you? How much are you fading AJ Green right now? Does he fall completely out of that tier that includes maybe Marquise Hollywood Brown, maybe Keenan Allen, T.Y. Hilton? Where are you just completely avoiding him altogether?
For me, I'm completely avoiding him in a lot of drafts just because, his injury history is one reason to avoid him, but now this doesn't help. This doesn't give me any excitement to going into this season.
Right.
And I think that the other playmakers there we're going to see an uptick in. I know that you love Tyler Boyd there for Cincinnati, so I feel like he, if he hasn't already taken a jump for you, all the more reason to just move him up. Just because it is a nagging hamstring injury. And though it says mild, we don't know what kind of mild this is. To me, if I get a mild salsa, sometimes it's too hot for me. I don't know. So what kind of mild is he? Is he a low mild, a high mild? We don't know. But I just want to see, I just have much rather have Marquise Hollywood Brown there for that ADP. There's other players I'd much rather have than AJ Green.
I'm just completely avoiding that.
Mm-hmm.
Altogether, I love AJ Green, great player, but I'm steering clear of him. Miles Sanders, obviously, this is old news, still week to week. Kenyon Drake is out of the walking boot, but however, he is still not practicing. So definitely worth keeping an eye on for Kenyon Drake and those who heavily invested in him. So, but without further ado, we do have a couple of questions. One from Will Jenkins to kick us off, and we're starting to talk about tight ends. It says Waller or Ingram. And we can go ahead and take that and then kind of transition into our tight end study conversation. We're using Fantasy Football Calculator today, as we have for the entire ADP series to take a look at tight ends. But what do you think between Waller, Ingram? Those are 2 names that kind of continue to come up right around round 5 or 6 of most PPR drafts.
Sure. And right now we're looking at them. Waller being the 5th one. He's at 602. Engram is 704 with Gronkowski right in the middle of them. As far as tight ends, if you're not going to be going after one of the main guys, the top 3, Kelce, Kittle, or Andrews in your draft, you can wait a little bit and get one of these guys. I do like Waller. I feel like there is a high volume there already for him and a lot of potential. Engram, if he's healthy, also a great grab. For me, I don't want to say that they're equal, but there's not a lot splitting them apart. I guess if I had to pick between one or the other, I would go Waller just because I tend to fade Giants players. No offense to the Giants and those that are fans, but they tend to burn me. So it's better for you guys if I don't draft them because they're just going to have a poor season if I draft them. That's been what I've learned.
Okay. So I'm definitely team Darren Waller here. They already had Tyrell Williams who tore a labrum. I believe it's a torn labrum in his shoulder. He's going to try to play through it. But really at wide receiver, I know they added Henry Ruggs, and Ruggs will certainly be involved. But really the best big-bodied possession guy that the Las Vegas Raiders, almost said Oakland.
It's going to happen all year.
Way too much. It's going to suck. I'm going to find myself correcting myself all damn season. But the Las Vegas Raiders, we are going to see a ton of volume from Darren Waller. Regardless of the health of Tyrell Williams or the impact of Henry Ruggs, I feel like Darren Waller is going to continue to see a plethora of targets with Derek Carr, who doesn't always push the ball down the field as much as John Gruden would likely hope for. So good safety outlet. Waller's going to have himself a year. And really the concern with Ingram is his health. He's been a guy that's had durability issues. So for that reason, safe volume target, floor, and durability, I give the nod to Waller there, Jenkins.
Yeah. Well, both of us are going with Waller on those too. So you can put that away in the stats. But let's get to this little off-topic question from Dried Ocean. Thanks for tuning in. This is off topic, but I've always been torn this past 24 hours. I need your help. Do I trade away Taylor for Hunt to pair him with Chubb? PPR redraft. Trade away Taylor for Hunt to pair him with Chubb. Which Taylor are we talking about here?
I'm assuming Jonathan Taylor. So if we're talking like a running back for a running back trade and you just want to own the Cleveland backfield and, get the PPR floor that you get with Kareem Hunt, which, by the way, I hate that people that are Nick Chubb truthers are overlooking how involved Kareem Hunt was in the passing game last year. I hate that. But
no, I agree. I like the PPR volume you can get with Hunt, but I don't know that you best serve yourself by having two running backs from the same offense. Team. I don't know about that stack. I understand the stack of QB with another receiving option there. I get that, but I feel like you're capping yourself because if they just have a crap game, they're not going anywhere, then you completely miss out on points across the board. So to me, I love Taylor. I'd rather have him, but I get why you're hesitant and I get why you'd want to get Hunt for that higher PPR floor. But yeah, and he's confirming there for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I haven't done that before.
I don't like starting two running backs on the same team. And some jabroni will throw a dart at me in the comments saying, "Oh, what about Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara a couple of years back?" Well, that is a very, very, very specific set of extenuating circumstances with one of the best offenses in the National Football League. No one thinks that the Cleveland Browns are going to be one of the best, highest scoring offenses in the league.
Yeah, not so much.
So, and look, I think they're going to be better on offense. I like their offensive line additions. I really do think that the Browns will be more efficient. And with Kevin Stefanski now calling the shots, I think they're going to have a great running game. But they're going to eat into each other's weekly value. And in particular, Chubb's PPR floor when you have Kareem Hunt involved. So, yeah, I'm definitely not trading Jonathan Taylor, who I believe at some point later this season will be the bell cow back for running behind the best offensive line in the National Football League in a team that wants to run the football. Taylor is, pun intended, tailor-made for this system there in Indianapolis.
Is he going to run away with the job?
I think he's going to run. I think eventually he will. I think that Mac is going to be healthy to start the year. It'll be a little bit dicey. Sure. But for me, Taylor is the more talented back and the better system fit and very durable. His pass catching woes is probably going to get him off the field, but I still believe that Taylor has a much higher ceiling than Nick Chubb and even a comparable floor, even though the PPR, will get you sometimes with Taylor, but I don't want to trade Taylor for Hunt to have two players in the same backfield.
Yeah. Not my favorite thing. I love Taylor. Stick with him. Stick with your guy, Dried Ocean.
Go with your gut. You drafted Jonathan Taylor for a reason.
Yeah, go with your gut. Hold on to your boy. Let's see how he goes. Kyle Senra joining us. Tailor-made pun for Tate. Yes, we love to do puns over here. Thanks for joining us, Kyle. I just recorded with Kyle and Kayla over at Full Press Fantasy just an hour ago. So we talked a lot of Steelers. So if you guys want to hear me go off about the Steelers, tune in for their next episode of Full Press. I went a little off.
I love when Kyle jumps in the comments. I know he mentioned that you were going to be on there for the Steeler-made show. What about the Bucks? Are we going to talk about the Bucks anytime soon? Am I going to get a special invite here, Kyle? I mean, come on, baby.
I mean, if you want anyone to talk Bucks, you definitely want, Tate.
I'm all about it. Please, somebody talk Bucks with me, please.
Yes. Kyle jumping in now.
We just completed another Fantasy Focus listener draft where Kyle Senra was the number 1 overall pick. Kyle will be joining the pod here pretty soon to discuss some of those results. So don't tune in for that for sure. But when we're talking about the tight end position, We're taking a look right now. Travis Kelce averaging going to 208 in a 12-team draft in PPR. This is from Fantasy Football Calculator. If you want to use another ADP source, that's totally fine. But what we're using is Fantasy Football Calculator. Tier 1 is undoubtedly Kelce and Kittle.
Yep.
So do you have it that same order, Kelce, Kittle?
I do. And I think if anything, the nod really just goes to, if Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, I'm going to pick you over other guys just because of the amazing floor volume and security that we know that we get with Kelce year in and year out with Mahomes. I mean, do I think that he's hitting a plateau? No, but I mean, he's on the upside of the roller coaster you want to be on anyways. I mean, he had 1,200 yards last year. He had 1,300 the year before. He had 5 touchdowns last year, which was a downgrade from 2018 when he had 10. But I don't think that that's bad. I kind of see the touchdowns evening out. I don't see them going down. Do you see them going down?
Which, if you watch the games, like there were a handful of touchdowns that were left on the board. And
absolutely.
And not to mention that Mahomes was hurt for a couple weeks there in the middle of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I'll ask you this because I think this is an interesting question. And I've found myself in this predicament a couple times. So I want to get your take. One, where's the tier drop off for running back and receiver that you'll actually pull the trigger on Kelce? And would you rather have, only a 1 quarterback league? Would you rather have Kelce or would you rather have Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? Which would you rather spend the high draft capital on, tight end or quarterback?
That's a great question.
I'm sorry to hit you with a curveball. I know. My bad. I'm sorry that I asked a good question. My bad.
Okay, so this is a 1 QB league?
1 QB league, yep.
Okay. I'm thinking.
To me, it's still tricky, though, because you got Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes that could easily be the highest scoring player.
They're league winners. They're league winners. Mahomes and Jackson are league winners for you. So if you're going to spend the draft capital, get them. I mean, you're going to get a stud, and obviously you're going to be very happy with that pick. I'm going to say second round. Man, it's more like if the second round starts and a QB hasn't gone in those first 3 picks, then maybe I'm going to go for Mahomes. And then I wouldn't be shocked to see Kelce go in the end of the second round. That doesn't sound crazy.
I think it's I'm not going to say it's pretty simple because it is enticing to take Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. But
yes,
if you're asking me, where can you get better value late? The definite easy answer is quarterback. So for me, I'd much rather have Travis Kelce or George Kittle over the likes of Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. So I give that the nod because I know there's quarterbacks that I really like late in the draft. Whereas tight end, it feels like once you get through Kelce, Kittle, and then we're going to talk about the other options here in just a second, that it's kind of a crapshoot, roll the dice towards the end of the draft.
Absolutely. I think there's definitely a big tier drop off between sections of tight ends, which they're bringing up in the chat now. Victor J's asking, is Andrews a tier 1 or tier 2 tight end? And Kyle jumping in there and saying for him that he's a tier 2. And I definitely agree with you there. If you've got this elite tier of Kittle and Kelce at number 1, and then for me, Andrews is next, and he's definitely the beginning of tier 2.
So, I mean, we look at it, Fantasy Football Calculators. We're now moving on to Mark Andrews and Zach Ertz. And, I'm kind of even surprised that, Darren Waller isn't going before the likes of Zach Ertz in some situations,
sure.
Depending on where you have him in the rankings. But Andrews is definitely the top of tier 2 for me. So I think that his chemistry that he's already developed with Lamar Jackson, they just traded Hayden Hurst, and they really didn't add anybody that is going to be a target hog on the outside. I mean, Andrews is still probably the best pass catching option, definitely the best red zone threat that the Baltimore Ravens have. And you talk about the beneficiary of play action. Andrews is going to get behind linebackers all day, every day, all season long, because you have to respect Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, that entire rushing attack that averaged over 200 yards on the ground per game last season. So Andrews is going to eat all season long. And I think that I so badly want to put him in that top tier. It's just the longevity that you've gotten with Kittle and Kelce that I just can't put Mark Andrews quite there yet. But could I see Mark Andrews finishing the year as the tight end 1? I don't think it's that far-fetched.
I don't think that's far-fetched either, and I think this also goes into what his potential is for the rest of the season. I mean, last year he tied for targets with Marquise Brown at 103, and I mean, I just don't see that petering out anytime soon. Again, this just speaks volumes to Lamar Jackson and his game, and just every year scratching another surface, another level to his game, and being able to use his weapons in different ways. And again, like you said, they shipped Hurst, so it's just, you're taking away the mouths to feed a little bit, and you're getting a little bit more targeted. So I feel like Andrews still has a really high floor. So solid top of the tier 2 tight ends for me. When you're comparing him to other players that are going in the same area, I mean, you've got Robert Woods going ahead of him. You've got Ingram going behind him. I think that if you're going to be taking Mark Andrews as your 4th pick, I think that's a solid pick there. I don't think that this is crazy early for him.
No, I don't either. And I think if you can get him in the 5th, which I'm actually, 14-team league, I got him in the 5th round.
What?
So, I mean, if you get him anywhere past the 5th round, I think that you're, in particular, like a standard league, because I do think he is a very big touchdown threat on a weekly basis. I mean, Andrews is someone that offers that like upside that you just fall in love with. But also has the floor to justify taking a tight end that early. Yeah. So, for me, I think it's a home. Like Andrews has such boom potential that it's hard for me every time I am picking in the 4th round. It's like, damn, could I be getting a guy that's going to score somewhere between 10 to 15 touchdowns, and then also he's going to improve on those gaudy numbers that he had from last season if Lamar actually gets better? You talked about scratching the surface. I mean, if Lamar gets better, oh, man, this offense is already scary, and it's going to get scarier, and Andrews is going to be the biggest beneficiary.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He's going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries, absolutely, of targets. And I do get why, I'm seeing in comments some people saying that you've got Ertz higher. Yes, I agree. I feel like that he does have a high volume of targets as well, but you saw Dallas Goedert, eke into those a lot last year. And I feel like, I just like the upside of the upswing of the Ravens going into this year and that potential volume. So that's why I have to have Andrews above Ertz.
So, I mean, and somebody was bringing it up. I don't know if it was Victor Jace. No, it was Kevin. My apologies. He mentioned that now that Reagor is hurt. What does that do to the tight ends there in Philadelphia? I mean, we haven't talked about Dallas Goedert yet, but we will here in a little bit. But also Zach Ertz, who is the 4th tight end off the board right now, according to Fantasy Football Calculator, at the very beginning of the 5th round. So, if I can sound off here first, Kevin, I think that it's going to help Dallas Goedert more than it's going to help Zach Ertz. Ertz is already going to see his volume on a weekly basis regardless. It doesn't matter. He was even seeing it when he was playing through 3 different injuries last season. Ertz was still the focal point of the passing attack. A healthy Ertz is still going to eat and still get his work, but if you take away another outside option, I think that you're just going to see more 12 personnel from the Eagles, which means we're going to see plenty of Dallas Goedert, and you damn well should, because Goedert can absolutely ball. If Ertz wasn't there, Goedert would be a top 5 tight end.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I feel like Goedert absolutely has that potential, and it's really just Ertz that caps his ceiling there. But I also agree, Ertz kind of already has his share of targets in the mix that you know what you're going to get. Can't really be upticked that much more. It's going to be Goedert that benefits from this. Yeah.
Victor Jace has a question, and we're going to get to probably the Rob Gronkowski tier here in just a second, but he's asking who has more tight ends, Gronk or Brate. I mean, I'm definitely Gronk. No offense. I love Cameron Brate. I actually think Cameron Brate, if he were on another team and was the primary tight end, I actually would have him as probably a low-end top 10 tight end. But unfortunately, he's number 3 on the depth chart there in Tampa Bay. So for me, it's Gronk.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Again, sorry, Cameron Brate.
I know. You're very smart. You went to Harvard. I mean, just hang your hat there. So we're talking about, Zach Ertz now. We kind of get into this next tier because I do think that Andrews is the guy. Some will put Ertz there, and that's totally fine.
Sure.
I have Andrews as the 3rd tight end. At the 4th tight end, I have Darren Waller over Zach Ertz. Because unlike Ertz, He doesn't have another tight end pushing him for targets. There's not another outside option. I mean, if you want to make the case for Henry Ruggs, love Henry Ruggs, but what type of volume is he going to see on a weekly basis? That is still yet to be figured out. I actually think that Darren Waller, who is a great move tight end and has athleticism to give any opposing team issues on the defensive side of the football as far as matchups go. I'm high on Darren Waller, a little higher than him on Ertz, even though Ertz is great. And then Gronk is the 6th tight end off the board at the end of the 6th round. So
it's a lot of upside, right?
I don't know though. Is it?
I don't know. I think a lot of this is just the hype of he's coming back, but he's not coming back to the Gronk that got you all the touchdowns he used to. I mean, even last year that he played, he had 3 touchdowns. So
agreed.
I mean, there's going to be a big play. There's going to be a touchdown, dance in the end zone where he does a WWE move. I know there will be. There's going to be at least one, but hopefully he doesn't hurt his back when he's doing that dance. So
I think he's going to take off that elbow brace like The Rock and do the people's elbow. Like that's the one. That's the one. Throw it into the stands. Go back and forth. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
I definitely think I can see that, but I don't have Gronk as high as that. No, I don't see him
too high for Gronk. I mean, as much as I'm happy, and Gronk is going to certainly bring all kinds of. He's a better football weapon at this point because of what you've seen him do in the past that Bruce Arians can play with as far as matchups to get other people open. Then Gronk is at 31 years old. He's a year removed from professional football. He's already had durability issues. And the last time we saw Gronk wasn't really Gronk. No. So for me, I'm fading Gronk. We talk about he's already not going to see a ton of high. I'd be surprised if he sees more than 100 targets this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, I agree with you on that too. There's a lot of options out there. And I mean, as we talked about before, Brady's clinical in the way that he, uses all of his offensive weapons. So I don't see all of a sudden Gronk being his number one guy in Tampa Bay. I just don't see it. I
want to know, everybody sound off in the comments. What is the one WWE move you would like to see Gronk pull off as a touchdown celebration? That's one I want to see. I mean, maybe an RKO. Maybe he RKOs somebody.
Sure.
I mean, that's a decent one, I think. But
I don't know all the moves and names. I'm not gonna.
Come on, that's Randy Orton. That's Randy Orton. Maybe a Stone Cold Stunner. You got to know that one. I've got lights here. Do not make me go full Stone Cold.
I'll remove you from the chat if you start getting crazy.
Form into my face. So
no.
I'm a little juiced up.
I can tell you are. I didn't know that we just completely opened up a whole new can of worms with WWE for you.
Open up a can of whoop ass. I mean,
I know that reference. That's Waterboy.
but I do want to. Final thoughts on Gronk.
Final thoughts on Gronk. I am passing.
I'm fading Gronk. The 6th round is way too high of a price tag. At that, what you're doing is you're paying for brand name value. That the brand name isn't what it used to be. It's just Gronk's last. I'm not going to ignore the last time I saw Gronk. He wasn't nearly the player that he was, the dynamic tight end threat that he was. And then you throw in the fact that they have 3 other very, very big body guys in the red zone that can get it done. And Evans, Godwin, and even OJ Howard when he's, doesn't have his head up his ass and playing football at a high level. So for me, I'm fading Gronk.
Yeah, no, there's better options, I think, for a higher floor from that position that you'd rather have on your team. Because week to week, obviously, we're all trying to build teams that have the highest amount of points at each position so you can win consistently. And I just don't know that you're going to have that consistency with Gronk.
We have some answers to what they would want to see. Some of the folks listening in right now.
You have to explain these to me. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what the rock bottom is?
I know what the rock bottom of a drink is.
No. Well, I mean, I know what the rock bottom of my life looks like, but I mean, in particular, rock bottom, that's the finishing move for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, along with the people's elbow. Rock bottom, wham, people's elbow, boom. I can go all day.
Apparently you can. I know you can. I mean, what are these other ones? Please explain. What's the Hulkster with an arm spin to the tilt and tilt the ear to the audience? Oh, that one. Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
I would love to. I mean, if he could actually rip his jersey off, that shit would rule. I don't think
that he would do it, get fined, and not care.
Somebody bring out like 3 different jerseys on the sideline just in case Gronk scores a touchdown every time. Put a little slit right here and make it easy to tear, and then just get back on the sideline and put another jersey on and stay in.
You know what? I do hope that Gronk is listening and watching our podcast right now and is like, that's the celebration move I'm going to pull this year.
I mean, Will Jenkins, the only thing is with a tombstone from The Undertaker, he's got to find somebody on the field that it's not going to be very difficult to tombstone. Maybe Scotty Miller is like the sacrificial lamb. Like when he scores a touchdown, he's looking for Scotty somewhere and he puts him in a tombstone and pile drives him to the ground. I mean,
this sounds dangerous for other players. We don't want anyone hurt in a touchdown celebration dance. It's definitely not something we want.
Well, right.
What's this one? 365 Ray Mysterio? What's that?
Rey Mysterio Jr. I mean, the 365. I don't think they don't have the ropes to be able to pull that shit off. So, I mean, Victor, I would love to see Gronk try to pull it off in an actual WWE ring. And the same thing with maybe like a swanton bomb. But I mean, those are, again, I'm nerding out right now with wrestling. But.
Yeah, and thankfully I'm not alone because Dried Ocean and Kyle Senra are saying that they're with me. They don't know what any of these are. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
way too many to try to suggest. But
yes.
So when we're taking a look at some of the other ADP right now, we kind of get to the 7th round where Evan Engram really presents. I think this is picture perfect for Evan Engram. He's had a lot of durability issues that we already mentioned when we were talking about him versus Darren Waller in particular. Mm-hmm. But you have that upside with Daniel Jones, who showed some good things, showed some bad things in his rookie year. But really, I mean, can you definitively say who the number 1 pass catcher is in this offense? You can't.
No, you can't. No.
I think Ingram presents the most matchup issues for opposing defenses on a weekly basis. It's just, can he stay healthy? But Ingram right here in the 7th round, I totally think he's worth the price right here.
He's absolutely worth the price. And just an immediate comparison with last year's stats with him and Waller, they're even on targets, 99 targets apiece last year, even at touchdowns as well with 5 apiece. But Waller wins with receptions and yards overall. So, I mean, I think, again, that's just a testament to Waller and how much they use him there. I don't think that that's really a knock to Evans. I just think that that's just the difference in splits on options with the receiving game. But I do think that Engram has a lot to stand to benefit as long as he's healthy. So if you're splitting the hairs on tight ends here and you want to go with one over the other, I would just lean Waller slightly. The only thing really giving me hesitation there would be the injury concerns.
And Chevin, it is a 619. I screwed up. It's not 365. 365 is the amount of days in a calendar year. So yes, sorry, I messed up Rey Mysterio's actual finishing move. There's
some of us that didn't know that you made a mistake. It's fine.
How about a figure? How he could do a figure 4? Ric Flair. Woo! Like, come on, put somebody in a figure 4 leg lock. Absolutely, he could do that shit.
I don't know what that is, but I'm scared. I don't want to know.
I mean, you just type in YouTube Ric Flair. I mean, it's just come on.
I'll try and spend a little bit of time on YouTube and figure out.
He's the kid stealing, woo, wheeling, dealing, jet flying, limousine riding, son of a gun, and I just can't keep these alligators down.
My goodness.
I spent more money in spilt liquor than you made in a year. The Nature Boy. Woo. Sorry. All right. Enough. Well, let's continue our time. My bad. Went down memory lane. Hayden Hurst. So why the hell is Hayden Hurst going in the 7th round? Like, can anybody just tell me if anybody would have just signed a random ass tight end, would they immediately think that they're going to be a top producing tight end and immediately pick up where Austin Hooper left off there in Atlanta? Because there is a reason why the Baltimore Ravens traded away Hayden Hurst and he got outplayed by Mark Andrews. And if they really wanted to build around their young MVP quarterback, then why trade away a 1st-round talent like Hayden Hurst? It's because he's not that damn good.
Is that how you really feel? I think you shouldn't, pull your punches on how you feel. Just be honest.
Anyway, I'm just simply saying that you can't just plug. It's not like a simple equation where you just
No, I agree. It's not just a plug and play here. I mean, you just immediately think that he's just going to he's going to just be what Hooper was. I don't think so.
I mean, if you were drafting Austin Hooper in this draft, you would probably say, and he was still with the Falcons, you would probably say that he's like a 6th round pick, right? I mean, you wouldn't have him much higher. So why are you drafting Hayden Hurst in the 7th round? How did that work out with Colby Fleener after the Saints got rid of Jimmy Graham? You cannot just replace a player with another subpar player and expect that same production. You can't.
No, I don't think that you can. And I think that when you're comparing, players going around him, other people that you'd rather have, I mean, is this the time to just bring up our guy? I think it is. I think I'd much rather have Tyler Higbee here, and you're getting him in the 8th round?
You're damn right. You are damn right.
Tyler Higbee. I'm sorry. I am super excited. I just got him in my Dynasty League. Cannot wait. Got him for 2 years on a $7 contract. Hell to the yes. Cannot wait to have that volume of targets. I mean, obviously we've both been, singing his praises for years. And finally last year, he got his dues, got paid, and also made it show. So I think that this is just a continuation going into this year. Obviously, yes, some can argue, it's inflated stats towards the last part of that, season, whatever. No, this was finally the offense sinking and Higbee sinking and getting into the full run of things. And I just see this being a really high-powered offense just in the receiving game alone. I'm super excited to see what Higbee's going to do this year.
So you're going to have your folks out there that said, well, Tyler Higbee didn't break out until Gerald Everett was inactive. And while that may be true, has Everett ever put together take Everett's 5 most productive games of his NFL career. And they don't even sniff what Tyler Higbee did in 5 straight games to finish last season.
Yep.
And if we talk about some of the best offensive-minded coaches in the National Football League, right, Sean McVay's name comes up quite a bit. I mean, he is a very, very sharp offensive play caller that knows how to set up and get certain looks for an easy throws for his quarterback, Jared Goff, which, by the way, Jared Goff had the most pass attempts in the National Football League, tied right there with Jameis Winston to lead the league. So this offense just lost Todd Gurley. And do we really think that – I like Cam Akers and, Darrell Henderson. He's already dealing with a hamstring issue. But, this is going to be a committee to start the year anyway. Malcolm Brown's probably going to be the short yardage vulture like he even at moments was last year with Gurley there. McVay saw how productive Tyler Higbee was. Everett will have a role, but there's no Brandon Cooks there anymore. And you're going to see Josh Reynolds and Van Jefferson getting looks in 3 receiver sets. I think that he's just going to shift his philosophy more to 12 personnel and something similar to like that of the Philadelphia Eagles, except they don't really have a running back to be able to impose their will on opposing defenses. They're going to be throwing the football a lot. I love Tyler Higbee this year. Yeah.
No, me too. Absolutely. And when you're looking at just the way that these guys are going, I mean, obviously, if we both feel like Hurst is going too high, I feel like Higbee's going late, though I'm fine with him going late. I love getting that value late. It's almost like I want to pump him up, but also not tell everyone else that I'm drafting against to be drafting him.
So, but here's the one bit of uncertainty that there is when it comes to Tyler Higbee. And people also love to point out that the Cardinals were terrible against opposing tight ends last season, and for good reason. When you take a look at the tape, it is awful. But they drafted Isaiah Simmons just for that reason, to probably solve that issue. But when it comes to Higbee's breakout, I mean, his production was right there during that 5-game stretch with any 5-game stretch for any tight end in National Football League history. I'm not saying that I expect him to continue to do those type things for every single game in and out, but he certainly understands the ins and outs of the offense. McVay knows what he has now in Higbee, and he took the most of the opportunity that was given to him and thoroughly outplayed Gerald Everett. So Everett will be the second guy in that, tight end room, but make no mistake, Higbee's breakout was not a mistake. It wasn't just a flash in the pan. Higbee will be a top 5 tight end this year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Now, the next kind of couple guys that we're going to talk about. I mean, you've got Hunter Henry in the 9th at 9:02, and you've got Jared Cook in the 10th at 10:04, Noah Fant at the end of the 10th at 10:12. Now, between those three, if you were drafting today and you were waiting on tight end, who would you be most happy to have on your team, or who are you going to reach on if you had to?
The most happy I'd be with to start the year is definitely Hunter Henry. The Saints in the offseason, they added Emmanuel Sanders, and outside of Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, who were both target hogs in their own right, it's a very, I would say that the volatility at all the other Saints pass catchers drive me absolutely mad. So I don't want anything to do with a guy that is not going to see enough volume on a weekly basis, that it's going to, some weeks he's just not going to be a part of the game plan, or that's not where the coverage is going to dictate to go with the football. So that's why I'm fading on Jared Cook at this price. And then when it comes to Noah Fant, talk about, uncertainty. We're talking about Drew Lock, who we got a very, very, very small sample size, and I just lost Sam, so we're going solo here. If you want to go ahead and throw some comments at me, some questions, keep me going here, because I need you all's interaction to be able to make it without Sam. But I'm going to go ahead and keep riding here. But when I'm talking about these three tight ends, Jared Cook, Noah Fant, and the likes of Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is I think the most talented of the group. Fant is a beast, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what to expect from this Denver Bronco offense. Like, I don't know what to expect from Drew Lock. And I know that they just drafted 2 pass catchers and another tight end that he played with in college. And they signed Melvin Gordon, who, by the way, can also catch passes and contribute out of the backfield. So for me, I've got it Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, and then Jared Cook. So then I'm going to go ahead and now keep scrolling down. And this is where we kind of get into, I think that this is criminally low for Austin Hooper. In fact, I would take Austin Hooper over the likes of Jared Cook and Noah Fant, mostly because there's a damn reason that they just paid Austin Hooper, who prior to the 2 extensions that Kittle and Kelce both got, was the highest paid tight end in the National Football League. So Austin Hooper was chronically underappreciated with the Atlanta Falcons. And I get that maybe you can definitely make the case that he's getting a downgrade at the quarterback position in an offense that is going to be based on running the football with, Kevin Stefanski, and they added Jedrick Wills, and they have hopefully a good defense on paper to be able to get things done. But give me Austin Hooper over the likes of both Jared Cook and Noah Fant as well. I just think he's that good of a player. And if he was in a better situation, if he was still with the Atlanta Falcons, I'd have him as the tight end 4 behind Mark Andrews. Like, that's how good I think Austin Hooper really is as a pass catching tight end, for me in particular. But so we're taking a look. Justin Alera, Derek, I need you. Twitter is roasting me for my JT skepticism. That's fine. I can come to your defense, but I do like myself some Jonathan Taylor. I just have seen some really, really, really off the wall takes when it comes to Jonathan Taylor. Like, I've seen some people go, he should be the first rookie running back off the board in redraft formats. Like, come on, whoa. I get it. Taylor's a beast, man. I get it. The man ran in the 4.3s at like 6'2", 228. I mean, the man is a beast, and he stayed healthy when he was the workhorse there at the University of Wisconsin. But, I mean, come on, man. Marlon Mack is still there. And last time I checked, Nyheim Hines is probably the best pass-catching back that the Indianapolis Colts have. He's certainly better and done more so in the passing game than I feel comfortable with Jonathan Taylor. He's probably going to get him off the field on 3rd down situations. Love the offensive line, but, I mean, I do not have him in front of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That just seems like ludicrous on Twitter. Yeah, I am going solo dolo. That is correct. And then athletically, Kyle Senra is going. I'm going Noah Fant, and you can say he's more athletic than Hunter Henry. That's probably definitely accurate. But as far as a pure pass catcher, still give me Hunter Henry. I still think Hunter Henry can absolutely ball. It's unfortunate that he lost Phillip Rivers, and there's a lot of uncertainty under center when it comes to Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. I actually want Herbert to get under center for Hunter Henry, but because I think that Taylor's either going to let that shit rip down the field or he's going to check that down to a running back. That's just my kind of gut feeling when it comes to it. Hunter Henry would be a nice safety blanket for a young quarterback. So I'm hoping Herbert gets under center for Hunter Henry's value to possibly jump up a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more. Let's go ahead and scroll down at the tight end position. And here are two guys in particular. As you see in the 13th round, we're seeing TJ Hockenson and Mike Gesicki. These are two guys that I take before the 13th round. And I don't know about you guys, but Hockenson got off to a very, very fast start. I know that there's been reports out there that he's already still dealing with an ankle injury, but he's still giving opposing defenders in his own locker room against the Lions secondary, for whatever the Lions secondary is for this year, issues. And there's a reason, because there's a reason why Hockenson went before Noah Fant. Hockenson is a damn beast. And in an offense that is going to be throwing the football a lot, they're going to be playing from behind a lot there in Detroit. TJ Hockenson has a lot of sneaky upside that I'm willing to take a dart throw at in the 13th round. When it comes to, you look at Mike Gesicki then, look, the Miami Dolphins, as much as I think that they'll be better eventually, and they even started playing better football. The first month of the season, first 4 weeks, they looked like one of the worst teams in National Football League history. But I liked what Flores did there in Miami, and specifically once they committed to Ryan Fitzpatrick under center, I thought they were just a flat-out better, competent, competitive football team. And Gesicki, I think you're going to see he's a tight end. He's a mismatch. Speaking of guys that have a great athletic profile, Gesicki fits the bill and checks the boxes in a lot of situations and scenarios in a team that I think their defense is still going to struggle in 2020, and they're going to be throwing the football quite a bit. And whether it's Tua Tagovailoa or Ryan Fitzpatrick under center, Gesicki is going to see a ton of looks, in particular in the red zone, even though I really like Devontae Parker and a healthy Preston Williams, might I add. But then when we're taking a look, you scroll down, you get a couple more options that I really like. And, past this, we'll probably go ahead and sign off, unless you guys have some other questions that you want me to kind of go ahead and tackle here on the fantasy debate with, just Tate, no Sam this right now, but, with Sam and Tate generally here on Fantasy Focus. We got Chris Herndon, Jonnu Smith, Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron, Blake Jarwin, and that's really, if there's any other tight ends that you really like. I think that, a guy that's being slept on as a late round value is Ian Thomas for the Carolina Panthers. I think I get that you probably don't want to sign a veteran tight end when you don't feel like you have a competitive or at least a contending team in the NFC. But Ian Thomas is a little, you talk about a guy that's a problem once the ball gets in his hands for opposing defenders to try to tackle. Once he gets ahead of steam, man, he is a load to try to get down to the ground. So Ian Thomas, I want to throw his name into this little group right here. But Chris Herndon, the third or the fourth, that Roman numerals. That's the fourth. But Chris Herndon, period. The Jets are devoid of a true number one. And Jamison Crowder is the first wide receiver coming off the board in fantasy drafts that I participated within so far. So, and for rightfully so in a PPR, I think Crowder will be just fine as a wide receiver 3 or, a flex option in PPR formats. But Herndon flashed as a rookie with Sam Darnold under center. And I know that last year was an absolute catastrophe, but as a late round dart throw, I love Chris Herndon. In a Jets team that I really think is going to be playing from behind quite a bit. So they're going to need hey, Sam, thank you for coming back.
Sorry. I don't know what happened. I think there was a power surge because, California is really, really hot right now, and we're supposed to not be using so much electricity. So I went around the house and turned off everything, and then I just powered everything back on.
I think I held down the fort admirably by myself.
I'm sure you did. No, you're fantastic. I'm sure you did just fine. No, let me just jump back in. What are we talking? We're talking Herndon?
We're talking Herndon. We're talking Jonnu Smith, Jackie Doyle piece, Eric Ebron for your Steelers, Blake Jarwin, and I threw in the name Ian Thomas as well.
Yeah, I think you have to throw in Ian Thomas there just because of the potential that they have with that offense. I just feel like I have a little bit higher. Now, I was just talking with Kyle Senra about Eric Ebron, and for me, I'm not targeting Eric Ebron. I don't want to, say anything bad about my Steelers. I do love my Steelers. I just feel like they have a lot of mouths to feed. And so as far as, potential for points to win you week to week, I'm not targeting Eric Ebron in any of my leagues.
Okay. I mean, and that's totally fair. And even another name that I want to throw out there for you deep sleepers is Dan Arnold for the Arizona Cardinals. Converted wide receiver, playing tight end, similar to that of Tyler Higbee back to his days at Eastlake High School in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Dan Arnold has even come up with names when Kyler Murray has been interviewed about heading into the 2020 season. He's mentioned Dan Arnold in particular. So I'm just saying it's a late round dart throw because that's where we are right now.
We're talking dart throws. All of these are dart throws. As far as floor, I feel like they're very close to each other on potential week to week. These are, we're in round 13. We're not finding gems here.
We're not. Another guy that I think will be very, very, very interesting is going to be that of Jack Doyle.
Yeah.
We're talking about now a veteran quarterback under center, and that tight end room is cleared out. Eric Ebron's no longer in town. I mean, Mo Alley Cox is still there and activated off PUP recently too as well. But Trey Burton, I believe, recently suffered another injury. So, but Jack Doyle has a neck injury. So, I mean, he's a last round dart throw, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot of these are last round dart throws. And to me, that just shows the real drop off at the position. I mean, we've talked so much about these other guys that you would want to go on early. You don't want to feel like you're reaching on because obviously you want to win again each week to week at the position. So taking those tight ends earlier kind of makes a little bit more sense. And then those tier twos, you really see the value there with those tight ends. And so for me, I'm not someone who likes to forget any of my positions on my team. I mean, there's been years before where I just go tight end, defense, kicker at the end because I'm just like, it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of ways you can win with these tight ends. And so to me, just don't shy away at the position. Spend a little bit of draft capital, get yourself a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and probably, if I have to punt the tight end position, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Just find two streamers at the end of the draft. I mean, Chris Herndon is definitely somebody that I'm very, very, very much so targeting. Dan Arnold. I mean, Jonnu Smith is another interesting one. I mean, I thought that he really flashed a lot of ability. We've seen, and there's no longer any Delaney Walker in town, and really with AJ Brown on the outside, along with Corey Davis, who's been activated from PUP. And obviously one of the best running games in all the National Football League and some stability under center with Ryan Tannehill. Jonnu Smith is another guy that I don't mind as a dart throw. And also that we didn't even bring up Dawson Knox.
Yeah, Dawson Knox, another one with great potential there. I think that year to year, the potential for tight ends has gone up. And there's a great quote that I have here from Liz Loza, who said, in 2019, a total of 8 tight ends with at least 12 game sample size averaged over 10 fantasy points per game, half point PPR, which was up from 5 in 2018 and 3 in 2017. So clearly the position's grown over time. And so could we see that grow again or kind of stay around that top 10? Maybe. But I mean, I think that it also just shows, the tiers, like there are tiers, but maybe they are growing a little bit.
Yeah, I would say there's a teardrop once you get to, I mean, really, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe Gesicki, Hockenson, and Hooper. Like, once you get past that group, then you really are just throwing darts.
I agree.
So
I think that's right about there.
But anything else other than that? If you have any other questions for a draft that you're heading into right now would be the time to go ahead and hit us with those questions as we're wrapping up this episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate. It was without Sam for just a little bit, just a moment. Just a moment if you're an Alpha Space person. But
I love that movie. I was talking about that this week with my coworkers. I think that's a fantastic, underrated movie.
His next door neighbor always cracked me up.
Oh, I know.
What would you do with $1 million? 2 girls at the same time, man, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
He was a creepy next door neighbor, but with like an awesome like redneck voice.
He was so good.
Perfectly cast.
No, for sure. Victor J's jumping here and saying, Tannehill with no back to push him. Do you see the offense? How do you see that offense production?
I mean, it's still going to be run through Derrick Henry. I think it's going to be on par with what it did last year. And I thought that Tannehill was pretty damn good as a fantasy option. I mean, people forget that he can run, man. I mean, like former wide receiver. I mean, the dude is very athletic. And he certainly wasn't afraid to pull the trigger like Mariota, where Mariota just like he's a see it before he throws it type guy, which is definitely not ideal in the National Football League. Some people can get away with it. Most can't. But yeah, Tannehill, I think the offense is still going to finish. I'll go on a limb and say that they're still top 15 as far as total scoring goes.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. We've got another one from Victor Jays to wrap us up with another wonderful off the rails question.
Damn it, Victor.
Doing it to us again. Love it. Top 3 Jim Carrey movies.
Ooh, okay.
Now,
Are we doing this draft style again?
We can do this draft style. I was mean last time. I took the first pick, so I will let you take the first pick at Jim Carrey movies.
Okay, so I get to go first. The 101 of Jim Carrey movies. Damn it. See, like, I want to try to go value here, but I'm just going to go with the one I love the most. It's Liar, Liar. Like, Liar, Liar to me is my favorite. I know he's got some great ones that we're going to talk about here in just a second, but Liar, Liar is my jam. I thought his performance in that I can quote that shit all day. So
yeah, no. Hey, I mean, I totally get it. As a huge Jim Carrey fan myself, Liar Liar is a tried and true one that's in my top favorites of Jim Carrey movies. So I definitely love that one. I'm gonna go ahead though, and I'm gonna go Dumb and Dumber with the 102.
All right. Yeah.
I don't think that you can go wrong with Dumb and Dumber. I feel like those are kind of they're both so friggin' good. I just love me some Dumb and Dumber. There's so many good quotable lines. I just think that he elevated that whole scope of comedy for everyone at that time. Just friggin' love that movie.
There's a tear break after Dumb and Dumber. For here I am talking fantasy.
There is. Wait, so if this is draft style, then I get to go again then, no?
You are snaking. Yep.
I'm snaking. Okay, so who am I taking? Ooh, this is tough. Dumb and Dumber is hard to follow.
Stop looking in the comments because people
I'm not looking at the comments. I'm not looking at the comments. I'm gonna go with Ace Ventura, another extremely quotable, similar time frame film. Also ties a little bit into football for us right here with the amazing acting prowess of Dan Marino in that one. I just he was so good. It was so good. Oh my God!
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is a man. Yeah. Oh my God! Sorry, no.
You're having a little trouble with the lady there, Ace. You don't understand. She's a man. So good. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah. I can't. Easy. Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura.
Okay.
What does that leave you?
Well, I mean, I got the wraparound, so I got the final wraparound of this draft.
Yeah. Well,
so
and then I get one last one.
I'm definitely going with The Mask as one of them.
I hate you.
Yeah, I mean, smoke it. P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta. Yeah. Anyway, I love The Mask. That is one of my, I guess, nostalgia hits whenever I watch. By the way, that was like the debut, I believe, of Cameron Diaz when Cameron
I think it was
walked in my life.
Yeah.
She walked in like a red dress or some shit in the opening scene of that movie. Killer at 5:00 says like Stanley Ipkiss's best friend. You can Ipkiss your ass goodbye. But anyway, I will go ahead and definitely go with The Mask. This is tough. You already took Ace Ventura, which I'm not going to go Ace Ventura when nature calls. I mean, I'm just going to let you have the Ace Ventura trifecta there. I don't think this one gets enough love. Bruce Almighty. I'm actually going to go with Bruce Almighty. I really, speaking as a fellow newscaster. Like that movie just kind of spoke to my soul, and I thought it was like it had like a touch of seriousness, but of course with the Jim Carrey over the top silliness. I really liked Bruce Almighty. I enjoyed it.
I love Bruce Almighty. I think that's also an underrated movie. So freaking good. I mean, Jim Carrey is like one of my top favorite actors. So there's not a lot of movies that he's done that I don't like. But if I'm going to go with my theme of quotable movies and my theme of, for me, nostalgia, movies I can watch over and over again. I mean, I have to go with How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I mean, I think that he just completely nailed the Grinch. Like, I mean, I love the way that the Grinch hates people in that movie. It hits hard for me right here because I feel like I'm a kinship with the Grinch. My friends call me that every year because I don't like Christmas very much.
I love it. I love that pick. I love that. The one I mean,
so freaking good. And his singing when he's doing the Grinch song is so freaking good. And I mean, his sarcasm with Max is amazing. Like, how do these who's just throw things away? One man's trash, toxic sludge is another man's potpourri. I don't know. It's some kind of soup. Like, so freaking good.
But what will I wear?
And then, like, just the little, like, I think what's great about the Grinch too is he's such a good physical comedian. And I mean, so like,
is there a better one? I don't know if there is. Like,
honestly, I feel like it's hard to pick someone that's a better physical comedian than Jim Carrey because not only is he so expressive in his face, and when you watch the behind the scenes on how they even make his mask, they had to change the type of prosthetics they put on his mouth because he's so expressive. They couldn't have it be too thick. So there's a lot of buildup up here, and then there's certain areas that it's super thin because they wanted him to be able to be that expressive. And I mean, as someone that grew up trying to do his faces in the mirror, because I don't know, what else do you do as a kid? But it really rings true for me. And there's so many good quotable moments, but like his physical comedy when he's, pulling like the tablecloth off and then all the glasses stay put. And then he walks off screen, and then he comes back and to knock them all over again just because he can't stand that he didn't make a mess. So freaking good.
Yeah, the man is, I don't know how tall he is, but however tall he is, he's basically, his face is essentially made of silly putty because it just contorts into whatever he deems, whatever the hell he's talking about at that time. Whatever impersonation he's making. I mean, if you see him do a Clint Eastwood, he's a great Clint.
Eastwood is fantastic.
Like if you have not watched his, like, I think his debut on David Letterman or some shit like that, or Johnny Carson. It was Johnny Carson back in the day.
Yeah.
Like he seriously did nothing but like imitations and like different facial expressions for like a 5-minute set. Like it was wild. Dude was so talented. I mean, the Cable Guy didn't crack my top 3. Which the Cable Guy is really good. It deserves like an honorable mention, and some people because that's like their number 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely honorable mention, but like there's a lot of other movies that he's done that I think are fantastic. Like Yes Man was a really good one that I enjoyed. I mean, that one was really good. I loved Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That one was really good as well. I did like
the Truman Show.
Truman Show was fantastic too. I think that you see a lot of heart in him. And that
acting chops are real. Like him and Robin Williams were like, obviously they were great comedians, but their ability to just full on act was absolutely fantastic. Like I don't want to like downplay how truly talented that, Jim Carrey is as a pure actor, not just a comedian doing, like, he's not just Dane Cook that just tries to make people laugh. He's actually got some depth to his acting that doesn't really go fully appreciated.
I mean, he won the Golden Globe for Truman Show too.
Right. Well deserved. I mean, the dude can act.
Yeah. No.
I had to like censor myself there for a second. But
you did. I mean, we get passionate about our Jim Carrey, both.
Not Batman Forever though. Him as the Riddler.
I mean, could that's a fantastic casting though for Riddler. Like, I mean, that movie maybe not so amazing, although I do have a good a soft spot for like all Batman movies. But like just him as the Riddler, I mean, I think that's a fantastic casting. He's just so ridiculous. Who else could you get to be so? I mean, again, a testament to physical comedy right there.
I don't know. Every time I just see Jim Carrey as the Riddler, I just go, oh. I mean, because the movie's bad. The movie's really
bad. I mean, you don't watch that movie thinking it's going to be the best movie ever. Like, if you go back to rewatch it, you kind of enjoy the badness of it.
I mean, it's got some like, what would be the best way to put it? Like, it's a cult classic for those that like enjoy punishment, because that's just a terribly, terribly, terribly horrible movie that I just can't get through a lot of times. Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, you have a lot of gifted actors in that movie, and it was complete shit.
I might go watch it right after this, just because it's just bringing me back so many good memories.
Yeah, I mean, even Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne, like I just didn't buy it.
He's not my Batman.
He's not, definitely, he's not my Batman.
Not my Batman.
Sign us off. Let's do this.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Wrapping up our ADP study. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you missed any of them, please go back and check them out. You can find the Fantasy Debate with Fantasy Focused over on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere that you digest your podcasts. Or you can go over to YouTube and check it out there as well, and check out the other ADP studies that we did. We covered all the other positions. We covered QBs, wide receivers, and running backs. Got them totally covered for you as you head into your draft season. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Give us a comment. Let us know how we did. If you enjoy us, we enjoy talking to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you want to follow Tate, you can follow him at dtater4 on all forms of social, because he makes everything easy for you guys. Totally
including
easy.
Xbox One, if you want to get
including Xbox One. If you guys want to get on Madden with Tate, go ahead and do that. I'm at Samantha R. Holt on Twitter and on Instagram at Sam_awesome. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and please at us on Twitter if you have any other draft questions. Love to help you out. Have a good one.
Bye.